Thank you very much. Up here we've got the next 20 minutes or so. What we're going to cover is a part of the industry series. I'm going to first briefly introduce myself again. For rent, the economics of our business model, how we make money. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Then I'll jump into what's happening in our industry. There's some massive changes going on right now, so I think that'll be a bit of an exciting conversation. What are we doing to respond? So where are our areas of talent focus, and what are we doing to keep our business healthy in this changing environment? And follow up with my path through the organization. I'm on the accounting and finance side, obviously, for some of you in the room that might want to pursue a path like that, give you a little bit of my experiences. And then we'll finish up again with some of the things that we look for in our candidates as we're trying to attract new talent to our business. Just a few takeaways that I think are really important, things that I look for when I'm talking to people. So, as we mentioned, I've got a very strong relationship with the College of William & Mary. I grew up an hour down the road in Virginia Beach, was lucky to come here for undergrad, study mathematics, also played on the soccer team, was a great experience for me. About 6 years later, I wanted to continue my education and was fortunate enough again to come back to William & Mary to the business school. Just an outstanding experience overall for me, a great foundation. And the last thing I'll mention is I also met my wife through the MBA program, so just a great relationship altogether. Enough about me. Let's jump into the business model a little bit. So you heard we're a media company. And we've been working since 1905, between then and now, to transition us into a new media company. We started out in the newspaper business and a large number of newspapers, and forrent.com is an internet marketing business, an ILS, sometimes as it's referred to, internet listing service. But really what we're doing is we're creating a marketplace just like the classified section of the newspaper used to. We're putting a place for buyers and sellers that want to transact goods and services to be able to find each other. These spurred a number of standalone publications. Many years ago, if you wanted to buy or sell a motorcycle, you could pick up Cycle Trader. Same thing with a boat trader, or even our For Rent magazines that are still in grocery stores throughout the country. Our sellers are large multifamily apartment complexes, usually 100 units or larger. Those are our customers. They're trying to find customers for them. We're trying to help them with that marketing that they need. And the buyers in this case are people looking to rent apartments. We're going to jump into the industry, but right now there's about 42 million households that are in this market for a rental apartment. We're primarily putting advertising on our website. This is an example of an enhancement to one of our listings. This helps people see information about the properties in the area that they're looking. If they search Virginia Beach, could pull up Marina Shores as a large property down there. They can see photos, videos, floor plans, rent rates, and they can see amenities or nearby local stuff that might be an interested part in determining where to live. And right there on the website, as visitors are coming through, looking at the properties, they can actually submit their information to the property. So a name, address, many of you probably use the service, but information about when they want to move, what type of size apartment they're interested in. On our customer side, the properties are paying, let's just say, an average of $500 for a listing on our site per month. It's a subscription model, and these leads that they're getting could be coming from our print magazine, through a phone call, through the website, as I mentioned. And if we're talking, maybe a customer might receive 50 leads a month. They're casting these nets and trying to bring in these leads to fill their apartments. We're talking about a $10 CPL per lead of a potential tenant for them. You'll quickly see that it's an excellent return on investment opportunity for the community, even if they can convert just one of those leads, 1 out of 50 for a month. At today's rent rate, $750, $900 a month, we're talking $1,000 a month, we're talking $9,000 or $12 grand for a year-long lease for a $500 investment up front to help advertise their property. That's the basic business model. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on currently in the industry. We're at a pretty unique time. Most of these apartment complexes right now are very highly occupied. And occupancy rate is something that we monitor very closely across the country in all the different markets. If you've got a 100-unit property and 96 of your apartments are rented, you're 96% occupied, right? The inverse of that is vacancy. The 4% or 4 rooms that are not occupied, 4 units, would be your vacancy rate. This graph right here on the left is the vacancy rate for the last 20 years. The dotted line is the average vacancy that these apartments have had. And you can see at the right-hand side, since sometime in 2010, we have been at record low or below average vacancy rates in our apartments. That's great for the apartment business. Their buildings are full, they're getting rents as much as possible. For us trying to assist them with marketing, it can be not so good. They've got enough leads. We're sending them leads, but some of those leads they can't even sell an apartment because they don't have one to rent. So we're fighting that difficulty right now. Why is this? It's really a simple case of supply and demand. We've had a unique situation since essentially the recession, 2008, 2009 timeframe, where first of all you had, I'm sure you heard about the no-doc mortgages that people were getting, and some people were getting houses that they probably shouldn't have been able to afford. That was one of the factors that led to some of the humongous foreclosures that were taking place, the burst of the real estate market. So some of those people that had houses no longer could afford them and turned into renters. That's one piece. Another piece would be the job market. You know, job markets are changing. People are moving jobs more frequently. Some people are not interested in putting down roots. The American dream, as we've known it historically, is changing a bit there. They don't know where they may be in a couple years, so they're choosing to rent. Another increase to the demand for rentals. There's also a bit of a compounding effect. There's been stagnant income since the recession for the most part. Interest rates have been low, raises have been lower than average historically, incomes are not there. And this is a cyclical business. You know, as these apartments get full, the landlords raise the rental rates because there's less properties, that demand is higher, the demand curve shifts, the rates go up. Well, incomes are stagnant and rental rates are increasing. People are spending more of their disposable income on housing. So again, it keeps them from saving that money to put away for a down payment on a house, even if they wanted to. You know, one more factor, I know you've all seen tuitions go up over the last number of years. Things have changed in fundings for College of William & Mary included. Student debt has increased. Another reason that first-time home buyers are taking much longer than they used to historically to actually buy a house if they want to. So many of these factors, increasing the demand, shifting that demand curve. The supply side, on the other side, has not caught up as fast. And again, it's rooted in that same banking crisis and recession that we saw that had a slow recovery. Well, we're seeing the same thing here. In this cyclical nature, if apartments are full and the landlords start to raise rates, well, investors see an opportunity to come in and take a piece of that profit. They come in, they build a new apartment building, and they start to shift that supply in, and price starts to come back to an equilibrium. Well, liquidity froze up during the banking crisis. You probably heard of merger and acquisition deals that fell apart because purchasing companies couldn't get liquidity to complete a transaction. Transactions decreased. Same thing with the multifamily apartments. These things take 18 months to come online once they start the permitting process. People couldn't get funding to finance the building of new apartments. So supply slowed, demand was increasing dramatically, and we're stuck in this prolonged scenario of very low vacancy. The second major factor that's affecting our industry and our business right now is competition and consolidation. We've had some big players come into this market. It's a profitable market. I'm sure many of you learned in class that capital chases the highest return. We're a very profitable business. We have no debt, a long history. So we've got people that are stepping in. The one up there on the right, CoStar Group, is a commercial real estate data company that decided to come into the multifamily business. They bought one of our competitors in 2014. They bought another one in 2015. They put it all under one umbrella. And they've been spending a ton of money trying to get a bigger market share and come into our business. So last couple of years, they spent over $100 million a year just branding. You might have seen some commercials on TV. They even advertised during the Super Bowl this past year. So pretty dramatic shift. The other one at the bottom, certainly many of you know that name. We haven't historically looked at this as a direct competitor to For Rent. They're more of a competitor to our sister company, Homes.com, doing the same thing on the for-sale residential side of the business. But one thing that's happened is Zillow has been beefing up their rental inventory on their site, and they're getting more and more eyeballs. People might consider buying a house, or maybe I don't find what I want and I look at renting. They're building up quite a scary frontier for us that we're monitoring very closely as well. So the other thing about our business is that many of these our customers, the apartments, buy from multiple of us. It's not one or the other. They buy from all three. They even cast a net wider to get as many leads as they can. But again, during this time where they don't need leads, they're starting to unwind some of those. There's price pressures being put on by the other companies. They're coming to our customers offering to buy out contracts, just like the telecommunication wars. There is pressures on price as well. So a number of frontiers that we're facing. So what are we doing about it? Well, a couple of things. One, we know it's a unique time of the cycle. We're trying to position ourselves to be as strong as we can when that cycle breaks. When occupancies start to loosen, we want to be ready to go again as lean as mean as we can. So one of the things that we're doing is winding down our print publications. At the end of the year, we'll be out of all of our print publications across the 80 markets that we've had in the U.S. We'll be able to support one media going forward, just be able to move a little bit more quickly. The other thing that we're doing to try and move more quickly is we are investing in analytics. Many of you know that the technology has been a major disruptor in many of these industries, us included, and we are trying to add as much as we can. I've added a new analysis team in the last couple of years that didn't exist. Those teams are working with the analysts on our SEM, search engine marketing group, search engine optimization, our product group, software architecture. We've got a group that's coming together to have a different analytic approach to the business than we've ever had historically. We need to be able to make decisions faster, and we need to be able to make better decisions based on the insight. You heard Monik mention that this was something that he was doing. We're looking at customer churn. We're trying to predict which customers might leave us before they churn and making an early offer to them. We're trying to get as much information and insight out of our data as we can. So the other thing we've done is hired our first data scientist a little over a year ago into the For Rent business. Several of our other businesses have hired data scientists and are continuing to hire data scientists for this reason. Our CFO that Thomas worked for, Terry Blevins, has been a big champion of invest in technology, invest in analytics in all of our businesses. We have to get better to make faster decisions and better decisions. This is just a simple example. In addition to people that we're investing in, we've also invested in new systems. So we put in a new CRM system 3.5 years ago, Salesforce.com, to give us a little more detailed data to drive our business. Put in Microsoft Dynamics AX we're really using it for billing and receivable system, but it's an ERP system. We've made the two talk to each other. We've had them integrated with our production website so that, this screen right here is getting information from multiple systems. But for finance and accounting, we're getting away from the days of looking at our last month's reports to say, how did we do last month? Looking in that rear view mirror. We're trying to get into the scenario where we're predicting and forecasting and being able to react to things that we see as exceptions coming in the future. We certainly have some corporate accounting jobs on our staff that are important and necessary in consolidating our businesses, but where I'm hiring in the business unit is I'm trying to find analytic people that help us drive the business and make good decisions and provide decision support. So those are some of our major focus areas right now. Quickly again about my path, again for the finance and accounting people that might be interested in heading down this road. I did most of my work on the management accounting side, so costing models, pricing, budgeting, investment decision support for the managers, trying to help the managers throughout the business make smart decisions. Certainly, budgeting is an excellent area to be able to get a scope of the business. As you heard from Thomas again, building some of those models, things are changing so quickly. We've got to be able to give better insight to our managers about when they should be pivoting, when they should be thinking about change, because times are moving very quickly. I am a CPA also, but I did not take the traditional path to the CPA. I ended up getting the CPA because once I got to a certain level in my organization required it to go any higher. And I've got some great CPAs on my staff that focus on making sure we're reporting it according to GAAP and we're safe from a compliance standpoint. But again, where we're growing the business is in decision support, in analytics, in smart decision-making capabilities on the finance and accounting side. So really to wrap up, when I'm talking to people, when we're staffing up our analysis team or we're bringing in interns and trying to find good candidates to help us drive in the right direction, there's a couple things that also I think the keynote speaker hit on pretty closely, so it's a good alignment, and I know a freshman year hallmate that's going to talk to you in a little bit, Akram Khan, is going to hit in some of the same areas because it is so important. First of all, just that analytic mindset, having the curiosity, having the desire to figure things out, help support the business is a key, and I know the programs in here, many of you are already in this subset, so let's take that one as a given for now. The database skills. Finance and accounting has moved so far into all these systems. I mean, we get integrate data from at least 6 different systems just to close our month-end financials. So, having some of those database skills, whatever they are. I cut my teeth on Access. I learned the basics. The database technologies are changing so quickly. I mean, we've got new ones coming out for big data, Hadoop. We've got all kinds of things. Getting that base understanding is key. And then the next one, being a lifelong learner. You're going to have a great degree under your belt here shortly. And let me tell you, it's an awesome achievement, but it's really the foundation of your career. You have got to continue learning throughout your career. This is not an end-all. You hang the certificate on the wall and people respect you. Things are changing, businesses are complex, and you have to have the desire to continue to learn. If you don't, I've seen people that didn't want to change, didn't want to continue to learn, and the value in the business just diminishes over time. So you've got to think about that. The last thing is, again, since things are changing, being able to adapt and being resilient in the face of obstacles is something I always look for in my candidates. I'm asking probing questions. I'm trying to find out, tell me about a time, tell me about experience, and I want specific examples of how did you overcome something that you thought you weren't going to overcome. Getting that mindset of people that are going to stick to it and push through, those are characteristics that we're looking for in the finance and accounting side of the business, in the analytics piece. So, and again, just to close up, as the keynote speaker was talking, those communication skills are key. William & Mary is a great school for this, so I know many of you also probably have some of these skills. You've got to continue to concentrate on them. Without it, you can be the best analyst, you can understand what's going on in the business, the data, but you've got to be able to interact with operational managers, you've got to be able to interact on a strategic level with senior leadership, give guidance. So really paying some attention and focusing on these skills is another thing that I would highly recommend as you're coming in and talking to employers. They're looking for these. So.